Look at these two screens. On the left, chaotic static and noise. On the right, a digit seamlessly morphing from a 0 into a 9. The difference? One represents the ultimate failure of standard artificial intelligence, and the other is the secret bridge to modern generative art like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion. Today, we are cracking open the Variational Autoencoder, the VAE. To understand why VAEs are such a massive breakthrough, we first need to look at where it all started, the standard autoencoder. An autoencoder has two parts, an encoder and a decoder. The encoder takes an image and squeezes it into a lower dimensional representation. The decoder takes that compressed form and rebuilds the original image. We call this compressed middle ground the latent space. The entire system trains by minimizing reconstruction loss, typically the L2 distance between the pixels of the input and output images. This works beautifully for tasks like denoising and feature extraction. But the moment you try to use it as a generative model, it completely falls apart. During training, the autoencoder tries to push training points as far apart as possible in the latent space to reduce reconstruction loss. Zoom in on that learned latent space. Not all regions are mapped. A random point will almost certainly generate a completely noisy, invalid image. And since we have no knowledge of the distribution of points in the latent space, we cannot sample from it to generate new variations of data. This is where the Variational Autoencoder steps in. What if, instead of encoding each image to a single point in the latent space, we encode it as a distribution of points? By predicting a mean and a variance, we force the encoder to map each input to a probability distribution, not a singleton, but a cloud of possibilities. The hope is that if these distributions are wide enough, the encodings of all training images together will cover the entire latent region. But neural networks are notorious cheaters. Since there is no reason to keep distributions wide, the network naturally collapses them to single points by predicting very small variances. To stop the network from cheating, we constrain every distribution to look like a standard Gaussian, with its mean as close to 0 as possible and its variance as close to 1 as possible. To stop the network from cheating, we constrain every distribution to look like a standard Gaussian, with its mean as close to 0 as possible and its variance as close to 1 as possible. We enforce this with KL Divergence, a distance metric that measures how different the encoder's distribution is from a standard Gaussian. Once we add this term, balancing KL divergence against the reconstruction loss keeps our latent space distributions wide enough to cover the entire space. We can reach this exact same conclusion through a probabilistic model of data. Assume our data X is generated by a hidden latent variable Z. To generate new data, we first sample Z from a prior P of Z, which we assume to be a standard Gaussian for easy sampling. We then generate a data point by sampling from P of X given Z, whose mean is approximated by our decoder. But a set of input images gives us no direct information about these hidden variables. To learn to encode, we need the true posterior P of Z given X. Calculating the posterior using Bayes' theorem requires integrating over all possible latent variations in the denominator. In high-dimensional spaces, this integral is completely intractable. So instead, we approximate the true posterior with Q of Z given X, which we define to be a member of the Gaussian family. So instead, we approximate the true posterior with Q of Z given X, which we define to be a member of the Gaussian family. We then find the Gaussian that minimizes the KL divergence between our approximation Q and the true posterior P. Applying Bayes' theorem and expanding the terms, this optimization problem simplifies into the evidence lower bound, the ELBO. This maps directly to our neural network's loss function, a KL term that keeps the latent space normalized, and a reconstruction term, mean squared error, that keeps the output looking realistic. We can now generate clean data. But we still have a control deficit. We have no way to dictate which specific class the network generates. We solve this with the Conditional Variational Autoencoder, or CVAE. If we have class labels available, like digit labels, we add this information to both the encoder and the decoder. For digits, we concatenate a one-hot encoded label vector to the input pixels in the encoder, and to the sampled latent point Z before decoding. Because the decoder now gets explicit label information, the latent space no longer needs to encode class-specific details. It is free to capture class-agnostic styles, like stroke width, writing tilt, or digit thickness. This means you can generate any digit from any region of the latent space simply by changing the label information. Imagine holding your latent vector constant and watching the exact same style of handwriting smoothly morph from a 0 to a 9. This brings us to a fascinating challenge. If you trained a conditional VAE on human faces and conditioned it strictly on identity, what class-agnostic styles do you think the latent vector Z would capture? Would it be the lighting? The camera angle? Maybe facial expressions? Pause the video and drop your best theories in the comments below. Ultimately, the power of the VAE lies in a delicate, beautiful balance. Reconstruction accuracy pulls one way. KL regularization pulls the other. This mathematical tug-of-war turns a rigid, memory-heavy network into a continuous, controllable creative canvas. But VAEs are just the beginning of our generative journey, and we are only getting started.